Hey guys, welcome to my review of Dead Space Extraction for the Nintendo Wii. There's what it looks like right there. I'm going to cut some gameplay shortly and we can discuss all the features of the game then, but I just want to say this is probably the best light gun game I've ever played, and possibly has the best graphics of any Wii game I've seen. It's so different visually from something like Mario Galaxy 2, which would be my other contender for best graphics on Wii. It's hard to compare the two, but whatever the case, this is a very, very beautiful game, and it does a great job of bringing the Dead Space experience from the HD capable Xbox 360 to the Wii, and it does it in a light gun shooter form, or the Wii-ized version of light gun shooters. So let's just cut some gameplay and we can take a look at this fabulous game. Alright guys, here we are, Dead Space Extraction. The presentation of this game is really quite good. The menus have an appropriately sci-fi look to them, nice transparencies, and you use the Wii Zapper pointing function to move around, so that kind of gets you in the mode of aiming accurately. In fact, one of the hardest things to aim at in this game is the buttons in the menus. The game is littered with cutscenes that kind of work right into the action, so you can't skip them, which is sort of annoying if you just want an action type playthrough.
My supervisor Leon's nuts with excitement. Did you know he's a unitologist? This is a big deal.
Leon's always been nuts. Anyway, we don't know if it's a marker or just a big rock. That's why we're doing this, so the Bothans can study it.
Many Bothans died to bring us this information.
If you had an imagination, you'd be dangerous.
Think about that tonight.
Ooh, I look forward to it.
And keep it down. They'll hear us. Wait.
Okay, so here's our first look at some of the gameplay. Those are the enemies, the Necromorphs. They come hard and fast, and it's a pretty intense game, actually. You feel that survival horror kind of a little bit underpowered feeling at times. But, yeah, the key in this game is not to go for just center mass kind of shots, but to aim for joints and such, just like in Dead Space on the Xbox 360. And one of the neat things this game does, that most light gun type games don't do, is there's more than shooting. For instance, right here, I'm having to rivet these panels on to barricade the room and keep those Necromorphs out. And this is the secondary function of this weapon. All the weapons have primary and secondary functions, which is pretty neat. And most of the weapons are actually mining tools that have been just taken up for the purposes of defending yourself. There's a couple real weapons in the game, and this different kind of camera look here is when they give you a free look occasionally, and you can look around and try and grab stuff, and you have sort of this force bubble that you can project out to grab things and bring them back into you. Occasionally I'll encounter something like this. I call it a flesh wall. I'm not really sure what it is. And you shake the nunchuck thusly, and it will allow you to pass through. So that's sort of your melee attack, is shaking the nunchuck. It's really important to aim for limbs in this game. You just won't get very far if you're aiming for head and center mass. But you do get some very neat mining tools that will really rip through these enemies. My favorite being the line gun, which shoots out kind of a horizontal energy beam thing. You can actually turn it vertical by rotating the gun 90 degrees in your hand, which is pretty cool. Reloading is done by a simple shake of the Wiimote. And there's a quick reload option. If you hit fire again when the reload bar is in this small kind of buffer area, then you'll instantly reload. which is really handy during some of the more intense parts of the game. Like this, where you can just see there's hordes of enemies coming at me, and I'm getting overwhelmed. You'll notice occasionally they'll grapple you, and you'll just have to shake your nunchuck like mad to try and get free. Which, if you're using a Wii Zapper, is a bit challenging to shake the nunchuck by itself. So I found at times it's easier just to hold the nunchuck separately. You can see I'm picking items up there. Those are actually little crates that have items in them, but you can throw them at the enemies for damage, which is neat and a good way to conserve ammunition. There's a face grabber mauling me. And those things kind of fly around and they just freak me out. They're one of my least favorite enemies in the game. Originally I played this game through on co-op with my wife, and having played through it now on single player, I think it was actually easier in single player because you're not splitting all the resources. That's pretty challenging when you're splitting all the med packs and all the ammunition and the like. I found that in single player there was an abundance of ammunition, at least on the normal difficulty. Harder difficulties obviously are just that, harder.
I can't. But I can figure out how to fire an engine. And you're a better shot than me.
Where the hell are you, McNeil?
Right there you can see I sort of froze that enemy. You have something called a stasis module, which lets you freeze one enemy on screen at a time while that resource lasts. And this is an invaluable tool in the game because sometimes you'll have multiple enemies running at you, and if you can freeze the closest one, you can shoot at the others until that one unfreezes and then shoot at it. And it also makes for a stationary target, which is a lot easier. So in terms of gameplay, I rate this game very highly. My only complaint is that you can't skip cutscenes, as far as I can tell. I've pushed every button imaginable. And so if you're playing through it the second, third time, it can be a little tedious. There's no getting around the story elements because they're just so integrated into the gameplay. But it's hard to really knock the game for that because it does such a great job of presenting the story along with the gameplay. It's all very seamless. And it really blurs the line between first-person shooter and light gun or rail shooter. I think if they went too much further, it might as well just be a first-person shooter. But as it is, it still holds that light gun quality. It's kind of hard to grasp exactly how to describe, but it still feels like a light gun game, even if it has added all kinds of new features. Like I mentioned earlier, you'll have events come up where you have to do things other than just shoot with your reticle. Sometimes you'll have to solder. They're like little mini mazes or puzzles where you have to solder. There's the riveting and a few other things, especially picking up items as you go along using your little force bubble thing. One thing that isn't showing through on my footage here, because I actually had to film my TV, I don't have a captured part on my laptop, is that the lighting in this game is fantastic. There are times where you get that really creepy, spooky sci-fi strobe light kind of effect, and where the creatures will be lit, if it go dark, they'll be lit again, and they'll be like 10 feet closer, that kind of thing. And that is really creepy, and it is done to great effect in this game. As much as a light gun game can be scary, this game is. It certainly isn't as scary as Dead Space was on the Xbox 360. for whatever reason you can't get that same immersion with a light gun game that you can when you're controlling a character in kind of a third-person type perspective. Did I mention this game is not for children? It's definitely mature rated. There are body parts aplenty. If you screw up, you'll get cut in half. That kind of thing. This is one of the more extended action sequences in the game. When in multiplayer, it really tests your ability to conserve ammunition, to shoot accurately. Those little guys, you shoot their glowing arm and they blow up. It's very exciting. You'll notice here I'm catching enemy projectiles, or attempting to, and then, yeah, you can fire them right back at the enemy, which is very satisfying. Right there. Catch it. Well, that didn't work out very well. Catch it, and then you can toss it back at the enemy. Very cool. Thanks for watching, guys.